Hey Bagmaker, I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday, my weekly sewing chat. Hey everyone, happy Sunday and welcome to Sewcial Sunday. Thanks so much for joining me for the show. I see Julie is watching, Angela Sherwood is watching again, Tess from Massachusetts, and Robbie's also watching. So our normal spam reminder is, as far as prizes go, we never send you a private message on Facebook or a comment on YouTube asking you either for your phone number, credit card information, or for you to send us or wire us money. The prizes are awarded and they're awarded free, and we take care of the shipping. So if you ever see anything like that looks a little bit fishy, feel free to report or block it, and don't do anything that they tell you either in the private message or in the reply to one of your comments on YouTube. I always announce the winner's name for Sewcial Sunday verbally on the show, and we've also started adding the winner's name to the description of the show just to sort of double verify the winner, and hopefully the spam kind of calms down going forward. Danny noticed that he didn't find anything from last week's show, so fingers crossed the spammers go elsewhere or go away somewhere. Danny will be joining me on set in just a minute. We're very excited because a couple of days ago we sat down with our calendar and we kind of figured out the Minikins for release, and we decided it's going to be...
Oh my goodness.
Sorry. I was working in the sewing room all day today, pretty much for 6 or 7 hours, and so everything's strewn all over the room, interfacing, fabric, cuttings of scraps of things. So yes, Danny has a mess to get to in order to get to his chair.
Oh my goodness. Probably should have been rolling on the floor with Mikey playing. It's fun.
Anyway, so we decided on our Minikins 4 release. It'll be April 16th. So starting next Sunday, I'll start showing sneak peeks on the show. So I'll show 4 projects a week until the release on April 16th. So be sure to tune in next Sunday for the show. I'll show the first 4 projects. And I guess I'll give a teeny tiny hint. One of the projects uses these frames over here. I had 2 different sizes made, a rectangle version and a square version. Let me know in the comments if you have a guess for what this particular pattern could be.
Backboard.
And we also will be selling the frames to go along with this particular pattern. I'll show the pattern that uses these frames on my sneak peeks for next Sunday. I was thinking today about this Minikins journey. I think I started writing the patterns either in June or July of last year. So once it comes out, it'll be about 9 or 10 months in as far as work goes. And I guess I kind of compare it to writing a book because both of my books had about 12 patterns, and Minikins Season 4 has 12 as well. I would say the major difference, obviously, between this and the book is the videos that we have to go along with the projects. Should I scoot over?
Unless you want to hide behind the logo. Unless you have like a zit you're trying to hide or something.
Actually, I do. I've been having trouble with my skin the last couple months, and I wasn't going to mention it, but since you did, if anyone has any suggestions for me, because I've tried like 5 or 6 different cleansers. You
got to use Violet's.
I started using Violet's, following up with moisturizer or no moisturizer.
Silic acid.
Vitamin C serum.
Cleanser.
And none. I've tried all different combinations of things, and I'm not sure what's going on, but it's not going away. So if you have a good suggestion for me, feel free to email me. My email is sarah@sewsweetness.com. Anyway, getting back to Minikins, I did write 2 books, and they were each about 12 patterns each, and I feel like the very first Minikins was supposed to be my 3rd book, and my publisher turned me down, and it was very sad at first, but it ended up being a great thing because I feel like when you work with a publisher, you are sort of going along with their guidelines, how they like to do things, what kinds of pictures they would like to appear in the book, if the book will be also an ebook version or not. For instance, my first book, my publisher made into an ebook as well, and my second book, they didn't. So it was their call and their choice. And so I do really appreciate, thank you, Stephanie. That's what I started using a couple days ago, which is Violets. I'll try to stick with it. Maybe I just need to use it a little bit longer. Yeah, but as far as working with a publisher, I really appreciated the experience, and I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't go back and do it over. But I do appreciate being able to make my own call as far as like what kind of projects I would like to make, how the projects are photographed, the fact that we have the videos to go along with them. And so I just kind of like the, I guess, one-stop shop nature of the patterns these days. We make the videos how we like to make them, and all that. I don't know. Do you have any opinions on
what?
Our videos and patterns versus book?
Well, books are low income in comparison to owning our own stuff and selling it.
Well, yeah, that's
a
one.
Big plus to me. And that's honestly, I think it's once I stopped working my other job was after the Minikins came out, and we started really focusing on making videos and patterns. And I guess sit closer if you're gonna.
Oh, sorry. I'll sit back. How's that?
No, you were like leaning forward.
Okay.
But that was the game changer was the Minikins, to be honest.
And I was also thinking the last few days about working on patterns and videos, and I don't know if you understand this feeling, but like especially when we were working on the videos in the last few weeks, I feel really like internally strong. I don't know. I'm a quiet person, and the fact that I'm able to present the instructions in the videos just makes me feel like a strong person. There's other aspects of my life, like horseback riding or training my dog, where I'm the student or the beginner at something. And as far as the sewing patterns and presenting the patterns in the videos goes, it makes me feel really good about myself and glad that I am doing this job. And I'm really excited not only to finish and release Minikin Season 4, but I've already started thinking about the next patterns, the next 4, hopefully for this fall. And I just really appreciate that excitement and the creativity that goes along with that. So, anyway, we'll start showing the sneak peeks next Sunday on Sewcial Sunday.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm getting more excited every day.
I know for people were saying about the different cleansers and dermatologists.
Okay.
Violet actually went to a dermatologist, and that's what Sarah's stealing her magic mojo, and it's helped Violet a ton. Was that
CeraVe?
Whatever survey says, silic acid cleanser, and then she has a moisturizer she uses after that as well.
Okay, just put those little metal frames to the side. I also wanted to mention we didn't have a ton of time on last Sunday's show for questions, so I'm going to try to answer a few extra ones tonight. So if you have a question for me, you can type it in the comments at any time, either on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you watch our show, and it could be a sewing-related question about a notion or tool, general bag-making question, or if you have a question about me, such as something about my sewing history, feel free to type that question in the comments, and Danny will be collecting them throughout the show. Danny's second favorite part of the show when he's on it, we'd like to invite all of the bag makers to stand proud. Let us know in the comments that you're part of the Sew Sweetness squad, and Danny and I are both super grateful that you've tuned into the show. Sunday is always a really big day for me, either figuring out what I'm going to present on the show or just kind of the excitement of knowing the show is coming up in a few hours. So thank you for watching, because of you, we get to do Sewcial Sunday, and we really appreciate you.
Absolutely. I wish it was Sewcial Monday through Friday, but I mean, can't have everything.
All right, you want to take it over with your picks of the week?
Yep. My first pick of the week is Abigail made the Marlin backpack, and I just loved it. I believe that was like faux suede fabric she used. I love the colors. I love everything about it. Augusta made this awesome Baker Street bag, which she hacked a little bit and made separate outside pockets. Slip pockets, I believe they're called. I love the recycled denim. There's an awesome photo. I don't know if she was on vacation. Just an awesome photo in general. I love it. Makes me want to go on vacation seeing the palm trees. Beautiful bag. Next up is Frances with a park sling. She added 2 pockets, one in the front and a slip pocket in the back. In the front one, she said if she wanted for her phone or something easy to grab quickly. Nicole made a creative maker case. I love the quilting. It might be hard to see, but she's got quilting on the outside of it. And on the inside, I love her fabric choices too. She does a really great job with the zippers and the greens and the yellows. Beautiful photography as well. Really good job, Nicole. And last but not least is Nita. She made a Sheffield tool bag. And now that we have a dog, I thought this was such a cool fabric. I could see taking Mikey's little, maybe like stay over stuff for, maybe he's got to go by Sarah's parents' house or something. Make a little like getaway tote bag for him and his goodies. But awesome work, everyone. Great job.
Yeah, Mikey's a little over a year old, and he has yet to stay somewhere else. But I was talking to my parents the other day, and they said, because my parents ship out all of your packages if you order anything from us that goes through the mail, and they suggested that Mikey stays with them for like an hour. Or say if I go to the grocery store, just leave him with them for an hour and see how he does. Mikey's a little bit of a nervous dog, but I think he loves my parents, and he loves my parents' dog also. So I think he'll have a good time sometime this week.
I don't know how they're going to work, because when he goes over there to visit her, she is like not into him the way he's into her. So he just sits there and barks like every 2 seconds at her, trying to get her to play with him. And it's literally bark after bark after bark after bark. And then a couple times she'll play with him for like, after an hour, she'll go run and chase him around. But it's such a small amount of time, and to deal with that kind of barking, I don't know how your parents can do it, but
yeah, it's a
kudos to
lot of
them.
Let's see. All right, well, let's get on to the questions. There's going to be a giveaway at the end of the show. We're going to do kind of a bonus giveaway. We normally have the giveaway where you have until the end of the day, Saturday, to enter, but we're going to do a bonus live giveaway for Minikin Season 4, so be sure to stay tuned to the end of the show. We're going to draw one live winner, and we'll have the winner like we normally do, where you have almost a week to enter. All right, go ahead, take it away with the questions. Jennifer says, the fabric kits for Tula Pink that says out of stock, is it because you don't have them yet? Can we pre-order? That's a great question, Jennifer. So I have on the website Tula Pink's Everglow fabric bag packs, which are coming out in April, so pretty soon. And then the Nightshade Deja Vu, which is the Halloween themed fabrics. Those are coming out in July. So we don't have them yet. They're not released yet. No one does. I just created the product listings and placed them out of stock because we do have the out of stock notification. And my thinking was, if someone was interested, they could click on the product listing and enter their email address to be notified as soon as we do get them in stock, because I know a lot of people ask for them rather than me just posting it as soon as we get it.
That sort of happened this week when Sarah had stocked the Tim Holtz compass fabric. Is that right? What it was called?
Yeah, it was. I posted a bag pack, which was in the newsletter a few days ago. It was Tim Holtz Expedition. It was like a map themed fabric, and unfortunately we sold out of that within like a couple hours.
Yeah,
I was not expecting
really
that.
Fast.
Yeah,
Me
I was
either. I was up till 4 a.m. printing orders, and I was not excited in the morning.
You were very tired, right?
Yes.
Plus we were filming a video that day, so yeah, Danny was very sleepy for filming for the video. We do appreciate your orders, so
yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. Gretchen says, what is your puppy's name? His name is Mikey, so he sort of already had that name. The breeder was calling him Mikey, and then when we brought him home, I don't know if it was a few weeks, we couldn't decide on a name, but we were sort of calling him Mikey, so then we finally just decided, okay, his name's going to be Mikey. So yeah, his name is Mikey. His registered name is Mike Wazowski, which if you're a Disney fan, if you've seen Monsters, Inc., Mike Wazowski was the little green guy with the single eyeball, so that's his official name. Anne says, what color is Sarah's top? It is...
violet, purple.
Oh, yeah, violet. Kara says, can you quilt on your fabric after applying OD coat? That's a good question. I haven't personally done that. Actually, no. Actually, I have quilted on laminated fabric, not specifically OD coat laminated fabric, but you definitely can quilt on top of it. I would suggest applying it first and then doing the quilting rather than quilting it first and then applying the OD coat. I know that's not exactly what you asked, but I recall in the past getting an email about that. And I usually recommend rough cutting your fabric slightly larger than you need it for the pattern that you're working on, then applying the OD coat and then trimming down to size. Let's see. Oh, did you just post something? Laura says, I recently got a Juki TL15. Congratulations on your new sewing machine. I sewed a Baker Street bag but found it difficult to sew around the top edge without a free arm like my old machine. Any tips? I guess if you're having, I'm not exactly sure the orientation of the TL15, visually how that looks. But one option could possibly be sewing, top stitching with the lining face up on your machine so you don't have to deal with not having the free arm. And I usually recommend whichever fabric is face up on the machine, having your top thread match that. So for instance, if you're sewing with the lining face up, have the top thread match the lining and have the bobbin thread match the exterior. If anyone else has any tips for Laura, let us know in the comments, and Danny will try to look out and post it on the screen for Laura. Judith says, what is the standard size Chicago screws for your patterns? It kind of depends on the thickness of your fabrics. I like the 1/4 inch post length for the Chicago screws, but if you're working on a thicker fabric, perhaps 3/8 of an inch might work better for you. I guess my suggestion would be just to get a small pack of either size or maybe both sizes, so you can test out your normal fabric, what you're using. And if you do happen to get a Chicago screw with a post length that's a little bit longer than your thickness of fabric, for instance, maybe you're using a quilting cotton with maybe a foam interfacing versus like a marine vinyl with a foam interfacing, obviously the thickness will be a little bit different. You can always reinforce the wrong side of the area with a little bit of interfacing, such as Pell and Peltex, to kind of bump up the thickness a little bit to accommodate the post length of whichever Chicago screw that you get, and that interfacing will just go kind of on the wrong side of the fabric, the back side of the bag, wherever you're installing the Chicago screws. Wendy says, when will the frames go on your website? I actually have them on my website now. I'll be taking a picture to go along with those product listings after the show, but they're listed, the square version of the metal frames and the rectangle version. Jamie says, I've seen some folks that have built a platform to sit the machine on to make a free arm. Oh, that's a good comment. Thank you so much for that. And Suzanne also said, saw someone has a wooden thing that sits under the machine to make a free arm. Rita says, I have turned bags inside out to top stitch sometimes. Thanks for that, Rita. And Tamara says, will you get more of that Tim Holtz map fabric bundle? Love both fabrics. Unfortunately, we won't be getting any more of that map fabric. We get the fabric on the roll. The fabric manufacturers call it ROT, rolled on the tube is what ROT stands for. And in order, because we have a cutting machine, so we prefer the rolls, just like we get rolls of Corkin. And unfortunately, the only way we can get the ROT fabric on the roll is if we pre-order it when the fabric is first made available for purchase, which is usually at least 6 months before it comes out. And so unfortunately, even if we were to reorder it now, we wouldn't be able to get it on roll. So unfortunately, we won't be restocking the map fabric. Rob says, for bags that you want an easy clean lining, do you use vinyl, OD coat, PUL, or just wash your bag more often? That's a really good question. Those are all good options. Some people also like to use either water resistant or waterproof canvas for linings. I guess my only mention for that is if you're using it for a bag that will hold food, like a lunch bag, just to make sure that it's a food safe fabric. A good resource for food safe laminated fabrics is Splash Fabrics, and that's splashfabrics.com. I think I reviewed some of their fabric maybe a year or two ago. And I think they've added a couple new prints. So if you're interested in that, you can check out splashfabrics.com. I looked for the Compass fabric and saw that it was sold out. Do you have any other travel themed fabric or plan to bring more in? I don't think I have any on order yet. But I'll definitely let you know either on social media, the newsletter, or on the show. I do agree it was a really great print, that Tim Holtz fabric. Tracy says, how many of the new patterns will require special hardware? I'm trying to think. I think this is the only one. It's just a single pattern with these metal frames. Everything else is mostly either zippers. Yeah, there's quite a few patterns that only had zippers. Do you have or use any vintage sewing machines? I do have a vintage Singer behind me on set, which is not a functioning machine. And I also have one that I got at a garage sale, a Kenmore. Actually, let me grab it because it's right over here. Be right back, Danny.
Sarah just got her machines back from being at the servicing too, to be honest. One of them had a motherboard replaced, actually.
Oh, let me sit down, I guess. I got this Kenmore at a garage sale quite a lot of years ago, and the reason I got it is because my mom has a Kenmore also. So this one is usable. I've used it a few times. I think Violet used it as well a few times.
25-year warranty, it says on the back of it.
Oh, does it really? That's funny.
Yeah, it does.
And it was really great because when I got it at the garage sale, they had the manual and everything in there too.
Yeah, it's solid metal.
Yeah, it's all metal. Actually, I'm going to put this down because it's kind of heavy. Evelyn says, can a Juki handle leather? If not, what machine do you recommend?
Someone in the comments followed up says Juki makes a specific machine that handles leather.
Oh, I did not know that. I've sewn with leather a few times. This was years ago on my Juki. It was fine, but it wasn't a thick leather. Sorry, probably shouldn't have gotten up because now my chair is like all, I can't get the...
I'll just plow it in. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Teamwork. Make it slide over.
Terry says, when I use sew and foam, I find that the cotton fabric in the center ends up looking loose. Is there a remedy that you can share? I don't want to always quilt a bag with foam. As an option, you could add Pellon-shaped flex to the wrong side of the fabric before attaching it to the foam. I've done that, thank you, by accident a few times. And yeah, I guess the exterior looks a little bit tighter with the shape flex. Obviously, a little more money's involved since you have to add that extra interfacing, but that's an option. Michelle Grace says, I really have a difficult time with sewing binding. I sew one side and flip to do the other side, and I always have previous basting stitches showing. Let's see. I guess it may depend on the width of your binding. If you're finding that you have kind of excess wrapping around, you might want to consider experimenting with maybe one that's a little bit less wide. For instance, if you're normally using 2.5 wide binding and you're finding that you're having some excess, maybe try 2.25 inch. And I would recommend maybe making a little sample square, meaning like not cutting the entire long strip of binding that you'll need, rather just cut like a little rectangle just so you can machine baste it to your fabric using the given seam allowance, and then try to flip it over and see, is it just the right amount? Do you maybe need a little bit less? So that's an option, maybe making a little test square first just to see what's going on. So that I'm guessing the basting stitches are showing just because you need maybe a little bit less of a width. That's my initial thought. When will the sneak peek start? So we're going to do a sneak peek next Sunday, the Sunday after, and the Sunday after that. So 3 Sundays of sneak peeks. I'll show 4 projects each Sunday since there's 12 projects in total.
Oh, you answered that right there.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be 12 patterns in Minikin Season 4 with the videos, and I tried to mix in some quick projects, and there's a couple projects on the longer side, not necessarily difficult, but just I kind of put in a lot of features and pockets and things, and so that's why a couple of the patterns are a bit on the long side, but not necessarily difficult. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good assortment. I'm really happy with the selection for this time. Rita says, what was the name of the site that has the food safe fabric? Splashfabrics.com. Let's see. Karen says, how often do you oil your Juki? So this will depend on how often you're sewing. So I would say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I was sewing a lot more than I'm sewing now. Now I'm sewing, I would say I'm sewing very sparingly. So back then I was probably oiling maybe once or twice a week. Now I'm seldom oiling because I'm not sewing a lot. And your sewing machine technician can always recommend either if you're oiling too much or oiling not enough. Years ago when I took a couple of my machines in for just routine maintenance, I was told I'm oiling way too much, so I cut it back. So yeah, it'll just depend. And sometimes I wait to oil until the machine sounds a little bit different just because I've been using the same machines for so many years. I kind of know exactly how they sound, and once one starts to sound a little bit different, then I'll just put some oil in there. I know that's not a great scientific answer, but Tricia says, Sarah, now that the Minikins 4 is done, are you going to start working on a quilt, or what is your next project or a break? We're almost done. We're in the middle of filming the 10th video, so that after that we have 2 more videos to film for 2 of the projects. I plan on starting on the next 4 patterns for this fall right away, just because I'm really excited to get them started. And actually the initial pattern design and the pattern writing process is my most favorite part, so that's why I'm like really excited to finish Minikins Season 4 so I can get started on that. Like, I'm just so excited to get started on some more patterns. Tracy says, do Minikins 4 have a theme for the names of the patterns? That's a good question. I named some of them after birds and plants, and then some just have random names. Anne says, what will the price be for the bundle? It'll be $80 for approximately 10 days, and then after that it'll be $88 like the rest of the bundles are now. And then Karen says, Wazudo Fabric also has food-safe, waterproof fabrics. Thank you so much, Karen. I wasn't familiar with that, but I'll check out their website after the show. I kind of like the name, too. Cindy says, Danny, my 3.5-pound Yorkie is up close to my TV barking at you.
It's probably Sarah. But you know, it's funny, when I take Mikey driving in the car, sometimes music will have a dog barking. Don't ask me why or how. I don't even know what songs. But and he just, like, it's triggered, and he starts going wild barking. I'm like, man, this guy just wants to bark at whatever he could possibly bark at. He'll be sleeping. Now, it's funny. I put a adjustable desk in our dining room next to our dining room table that sits directly in front of the window, the exact same height. And we put like a mat and a pillow there for him. And he loves sleeping there. And his free time is based on that table. But 2 a.m. on Saturday, last night, he's barking like a madman. One of the neighbors had a car pull in their driveway and did whatever. But it bothered him so much. He was barking so loud and so hard, like for a good 10 minutes, and I just couldn't calm him. It was crazy.
Let's see. Would you ever consider a course on bag pattern design? I don't know. I do have a video, in case you haven't seen it, about my design process. So if you go to the So Sweetness YouTube channel and you type in design process, I think that video should come up. I talk about the different software that I use. That's probably as far as I'll go, not because I don't want to help other people, but just because it's just so, I don't know if subjective is the word. I don't know. I just really fiddle. Sometimes I get questions on if I have formulas, for instance, like if I have a pattern with multiple sizes, what's the formula I use? And there really isn't a formula, especially because I'm bad at math. My formula is like fiddling with and testing things out. I might make little prototypes, or I always make sure I have extra fabric just in case I need to recut things, which is usually the case. I was working on a project today and I needed to recut a few pieces just because what I initially thought was wrong. So yeah, my thing is just trial and error, I guess. Terry says, that's so Nova was singing your praises today. Your patterns are so easy to follow and so are your videos. I thoroughly agree. I love her channel. That's Shanova's channel. You might have seen her on Sewcial Sunday when we did the interview topic about the waterproof canvas and the water resistant canvas. She's really entertaining. She's really knowledgeable. And thanks for letting me know that, Terry. Rachel says, where do you get your machines serviced? Both my work and I am looking for a service center in the Chicago suburbs area. So I have gone to Vogue Fabrics, which is in Evanston. Hopefully Jim is still the sewing machine technician over there. Jim is awesome. He doesn't just hand you back your machine. He explains things, and that's how I knew about years ago why I was oiling too much, because he let me know and he explained things to me. And the work he did on the machines for the maintenance, he explained like what he did and what the issue was. And he's awesome. If you're looking for a secondary place, and the first one was Vogue Fabrics in Evanston. The second one is I think the Singer outlet store, maybe. It's on Irving Park Road. What's the cross street? Do you remember?
Which one?
On Irving Park Road, that Singer store by
Yes,
Six Corners.
it's west of Cicero.
Okay, thank you. So Irving Park Road, west of Cicero, Singer.
Between Cicero and Laramie.
Something Singer's in the name. It might be Singer
Factory Service Center?
Factory, yeah, something like that. It looks like they repair a lot of machines over there because they had like a whole back room with sewing machines waiting to be picked up. They also sell machines. I think they have Juki's and Juki industrial machines over there. So if you're interested in taking a look at some machines, that's highly recommend that one as well. Let's see. Rob says, when you make a pattern, how many drafts do you normally go through to get all the pieces right? Are there any patterns you've started but decided you didn't like? So I'm trying to think of all time how many patterns I've written and then I just sort of did nothing else with them. Maybe like 3 or 4. I think there's at least 2 patterns where I wrote the pattern, I made it, and I was like, this is just not going to work. It was either too hard, too complicated, or it didn't look like how I wanted it to look like, so I sort of abandoned. So maybe like overall time, I might have abandoned like 5 or 6 patterns that just never saw the light of day. What was the other part of her question?
I think it was Rob's question.
Yeah, it was. Oh, how many drafts do you normally go through? It depends on the pattern. Like the Marlin backpack that Danny had the picture of from one of his pics that Abigail made. That one I had to make a few prototypes because those pieces fit together very exactly. Normally I don't have to do so much tinkering with the pieces, but certain ones where like all the pieces are connected in a specific way, sometimes I have to make a couple prototypes. Generally, if I'm making a pattern for like a bag with a flap, I generally don't make a prototype for that. Usually I'll just draw out the pattern pieces and kind of cross my fingers. Usually those come out okay, just because there's not it's like not an all encasing project just because there's an opening at the top, if that makes sense, bags with a flap. Margot says, I just want to say thanks for the quick reply to my email and for shipping my orders together when I forgot to add something to my original order. Y'all are the best. Thank you so much, Margot. I really appreciate that feedback. Danny tries his best. Danny prints out all the shipping labels for the orders, and he does try to catch all the, we call them combined shipping orders, but
Multiple orders in the same shipping period.
Yep. Jan says, will you be on Easter Sunday night? We will, just because that'll be one of our sneak peeks for the new Minikins patterns. And by the way, if you don't catch us live, you can watch the recording anytime in case you're celebrating on that day and want to watch the show maybe Monday morning instead. Shirley says, I always love the fabrics you pick for the videos. Would you consider putting the fabrics manufacturer and name in the written pattern? Oh, that's a good suggestion. I do, while you're mentioning videos, any of the videos that we have for sale, I do try to list the fabric that I used in the supply list. So if it's one of those videos, generally speaking, I list those fabrics usually at the bottom of the supply list for the video if you're watching it on our website. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. Cynthia says the Singer Factory Distributor, that's the address for that sewing machine repair that I mentioned earlier. Cynthia takes her machines there and very happy with the service. What type of Band-Aid is that, Danny? Oh,
Well, folks,
is it glow in is it glow in the dark?
It's from that little Band-Aid box. I don't know what
Oh,
it is.
okay. I think it's a welly Band-Aid.
It's the only Band-Aid I can find in the whole house.
Danny had a little incident earlier.
I was playing Mikey outside in the side of the house. He was running up with the toy in his mouth. I put my hand out to like grab the toy. He just kept going forward, and his tooth caught my finger and just like tore it like a half inch, maybe quarter inch.
Lori says, do you have a favorite bag pattern that you would recommend to someone that is a beginner in bag sewing that would incorporate a zipper, pockets, and use soft and stable? Asking for a friend. I highly recommend the Baker Street bag. I would say it's for a confident beginner. It's a free pattern and also a free video. It does have a zipper at the top. I'm trying to think what other kind of pockets. I think there's slip pockets in that one. And it also deals with sewing through a curve, which is a good beginner skill to work with. Val says, I've had a request for a crossbody on the smaller side that would have a place for sunglasses and a phone with slots for cards like a wallet. Any suggestions on one of your patterns? Maybe the Day Trip cell phone wallet from Minikin Season 2. That one does have the credit card slots in it already. It does have a front pocket with a flap for a cell phone. The only problem is the sunglasses. I don't think it's big enough for the sunglasses. Maybe the Oriole bag, the small size of the Oriole bag. That one can be worn crossbody. It doesn't have the slots for the credit cards, but I do have a free video on my YouTube channel and on my website how to add credit card slots. So that's an option, maybe modifying another pattern and just adding the credit card slots. Kent says, did you know you need to lubricate your rivet press? I hadn't used mine in a long time and then I couldn't even press down the handle. The maker told me to lubricate and work the handle up and down. I did not know that, but thank you for mentioning that because that's a super helpful tip, and also thanks for sharing it with everyone. I think I was using my rivet press yesterday and seemed to work okay, but I'll keep an eye on it definitely for when it seems to slow down or get a little creaky. Carrie says, do you draw pattern pieces, then sew them, or sew the bag and take it apart to get the initial pieces? That is a good question. So what I do is I write all the instructions. I'll show you. I guess I'll show you what I was working on today. So what I do is...
It's top secret stuff. Careful.
No, it's okay. So here's this pattern I was working on today. So what I do is I write out all the instructions first, then I draw out all the pattern pieces, or vice versa. Sometimes I'll draw out all the pattern pieces, and then I'll write the instructions. So that means I haven't touched any fabric before I've written the instructions, and then I sew through my instructions, and that's when I take the step photo. So the pattern I was working on today, I write a lot of edits on the pattern as I work through it, things I want to change, or the helpful hints you might see in the pattern. Sometimes while I'm sewing it, I think of helpful hints as I'm working through the pattern. And here's from today how much I crossed out, rewrote stuff. I added things because my steps were wrong and I needed to change them, so I just added a bunch of stuff. So this is very typical. I do a lot of, there's a ton of things like I mark on the pattern, and so after I take all the step photos, I'll go in the computer like I'll be doing tonight. I'll go in the computer, type in all of my edits, put all the step photos in there, make any changes to the pattern pieces that I need to make. So in a nutshell, that's I guess a little bit part of my process. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be sewing through my own instructions, because there's just so many things that I change, or tips. Like for instance, sometimes I'll say in the pattern, oh, I sewed this step with the bottom panel against the bed of my sewing machine, or things like that. So just things that while I'm sewing, I try to think of things that would make the process easier for the sewer, and I try to kind of sprinkle the the pattern instructions with those little details if I can. Nancy says, my daughter-in-law is interested in learning to sew. She's a new mom and would like to make blankets. She also would like to be able to do some embroidery. Any good recommendations for a beginner sewing machine? I would suggest checking out my friend Vanessa's YouTube channel, The Crafty Gemini. She's reviewed a few sewing machines on her channel, including some basic beginner sewing machines, and I'm almost certain she's got a tutorial for some basic blankets that your daughter-in-law can use as well. So again, her YouTube channel is The Crafty Gemini. Oh, you're calling on the questions already? I feel like the time just flew by today. All right, I apologize if I did not get to your question live, but I will be back again next Sunday. And be sure to tune in next Sunday. I'll be showing the first 4 projects from Minikin Season 4. And one more thing to get to. I don't think I announced the winner of last week's giveaway, so in case I didn't, the winner of last week's giveaway was Simone R. So congratulations to Simone R. Please email me after the show so that I can get you set up with your prize. And for tonight, we're going to be doing one live winner and then a winner. As always, you have until the end of the day this Saturday to leave a comment on the show. I'll announce the winner on next Sunday's show. And how our live giveaways work is Danny has all of your questions combined on his laptop over here, the YouTube and the Facebook questions. And he just asks me for a couple numbers. The numbers stand for the page of the comments and then the number of the comment on that page. So what numbers am I choosing from, Danny?
1 through 47.
Okay, so I'm going to go with number 13.
1 through 20.
2.
Evelyn,
congratulations. Evelyn, you won a Minikin Season 4 bundle. Please email me after the show just so I have your email address, and then I'll send you out your prize as soon as Minikins 4 comes out.
Hope your house stays dry in California too, Evelyn. I saw earlier in the
is there a
comments.
problem?
Yeah, it's flooding in her neighborhood, she says, and it's getting
my
close to her house.
gosh.
So she had to move her sewing machine, I think family photos, to her loft, I believe.
Oh, gosh.
Yep.
I hope everything's okay. The additional winner that I'll announce on next Sunday's show will also be for another Minikin Season 4 bundle, and I'll be giving away Minikin Season 4 bundles all the way up until the release. That'll be on April 16th. And I have an additional question for you that you can answer in the comments. Let me know what's your favorite day of the week. So go ahead and type that in the comments right now, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Good luck to everyone, and we hope you have a great week.
Yep.
Happy sewing.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.